Hi y'all, it's Annelies, and yesterday there was an Apple event. Before I talk about that Apple event, because I was very excited for it, yesterday was a great day. International Women's Day, getting new Apple news, it's wonderful. But I have to address the elephant in the room, and that is that I'm not in a room and that I'm outside. Now I'm hoping the sound is okay, and the reason why I'm hoping that is because I'm outside. This is the Tate Modern Museum. If this tree wasn't in front of me, I could see St. Paul's Cathedral. The Globe Theater is right there. And the River Thames is in front of me. And everybody and their mother is out today. They're doing construction over at, by St. Paul's. So it's loud and it's rowdy, but, we're here to talk about tech. We're not here to talk about the sights of London. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened yesterday. Okay, so the event was pretty low-key in regards to announcements, sort of. So the first half was very much gearing people up to be excited. So they started talking. I've got my computer right here with notes on it. This is not going to be our typical Apple recap. This is a little bit more run and gun. But we talked about Apple TV Plus. First of all, I have to say I did gasp when I saw Ariana DeBose, but that's neither here nor there. The only real announcement was that Apple TV Plus and Friday Night Baseball with the MLB, that's the new thing. So if you're a baseball fan, they will have 2 different games exclusive to Apple TV Plus weekly that you can watch. That's all they really talked about, aside from here's a trailer, a highlight reel or whatever of all their new movies and stuff coming out. So there was that. Then we went over to iPhone. The green iPhone, folks. This green iPhone is so, okay, this looks like I think they called it midnight green back with the iPhone 11. I can't remember, but that was a beautiful green. And y'all know I have to keep matchy, so I would never get that. Also, I literally just got my iPhone 13 Pro, if you watched the unboxing, but that alpine green, ooh, so beautiful. And then 13 comes in a green now, but the new iPhone that we got was an iPhone SE. This phone has the A15 Bionic chip in it, so that's the same thing that's in the flagship 13s. It is still the iPhone 8 body, so you get the Touch ID, still same colors, so product red. They call it Midnight and Starlight still, but it's black and white. IP67 rated, same glass on the back of the phone as on the iPhone 13. So that's nice. They had to say it had 5G, of course. It starts at $529, and the pre-order is available on Friday, and it'll be available on the 18th. And I love the iPhone SE. I would never personally own it because I consider myself a pro user. However, I think of people like my old professor or my uncle, people like that when it comes to getting phones, that they don't need, 1, a super expensive phone, but 2, all the glitz and glamour of the latest and greatest models. But being able to do things it has the deep fusion with the photos. You can do because iOS 15 with the A15 Bionic chip, you can do the double tap on text in a photo and get the information from it type of thing. So it can do that now. So you get a lot of great features that come with iOS 15 is going to be available at a cheaper price on a cheaper model. I made a video about the iPhone SE in 2020, and essentially all my thoughts still stand on it. I kind of was debating on making another video about it because there's nothing new to say. It's just still the same old body as Marquez Brownlee said in his video, recycled design, which yeah, that's kind of the point. The recycled materials and recycled design. Also, people have said, and MKBHD said this, that the SE stands for Special Edition. I completely disagree. I think it stands for Simple Edition, and I think it always has stood for Simple Edition. I don't think it's ever been special. I think it's just been simple. That's the only thing it could stand for. Anyway, we move on to iPad. The only new announcements that we got with iPad were iPad Air. Have to say, the blue color of the iPad Air, it's freaking fantastic. It makes me want an I literally was sitting there going okay, my iPad's getting kind of old. Do I want an iPad Air? No. So iPad Air got the M1 chip. You get the 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. It features center stage, which I haven't used that yet, but it seems like a really cool feature. It's the thing where it moves like a Facebook video cam and follows you, so that's cool. USB-C I was really excited about because I thought there wasn't USB-C on the iPad Air, and then I looked it up and there definitely is USB-C on the iPad Air from last year, but it's the iPad that doesn't have USB-C. They also talked about a new version of iMovie, which as somebody who got their personal video editing career started on iMovie, let me rewind. As somebody who got their video editing career no, okay, hold on, let me try this again. As somebody who started their YouTube channel, that's a better way to say it, on an iPad mini, editing in iMovie, I'm so happy that they're focusing on iMovie specifically for iPad, because the iPad is this device that I would almost argue that people are getting to a point where you might not need a computer, which is insane, because you have USB-C, you can plug in your phone, you can plug in hard drives to it. Like, it's a touchscreen computer, but not. Then we have the M1 chip. Also, the fact that there's no pro apps with the M1 chip on the iPad, like, I'm annoyed, because obviously the architecture is there, but like, whatever, this is just a hill I'm gonna die on, and it's never gonna come true. I'll never get Final Cut Pro on an iPad, and I just have to accept that at this point. But anywho, I digress. New version of iMovie is coming out next month, so I'm definitely gonna be testing that out to see what it's all about. It seems that there's like editing templates to make videos with it. I don't know, I'm curious. So that's coming out. It's 100% recycled aluminum in the enclosure, great. Still has Touch ID in the lock button, which proves to us that we could have Touch ID on a freaking iPhone. I think, okay, here's my conspiracy theory. I think the reason why they don't want to put Touch ID back on an iPhone in the lock button is because then they would have to design cases that involve being able to use this button, because my case has like a plastic, like the bumper of the case is covering where the Touch ID would be. So I think thinking about how Apple makes their own cases, it would be something that would be too hard to design. I don't know, because the cases that they already make for those devices don't cover that button. Are you following me? I hope you're following me. Anyway, this device starts at $599, comes in 2 models, 64 gigs and 256, and I'm just looking at my notes here. It says, the blue is almost a teal, and it's so good. So I just have to say again, I have 2 notes on how good the blue looks. The colors look really nice. I'm just really happy that they're focusing on the mid-tier to low-tier devices like the SE, like the iPad Air, because not everybody is a pro user, and not everybody has the pro user budget. Also, I think by them putting similar chips in these devices, I'm just gonna hope it's gonna deter people from like buying, like overbuying power when it comes to their devices. Anyway, that's not my problem to worry about. That's you and your budget. But anyway, the star of the show, like I said, the first half of the event was very not lackluster. I was into it. I was listening. I'm happy that they revamped the SE. I saw rumors that people said they weren't going to touch the SE, and I was like, please do something with it, because it's been 2 years now, and the SE deserves its spot in the sun. But anyway, the Mac. The Mac is what this event was really about, and specifically the M1 Ultra chip. Now, they said M1 Ultra, and I think I said, because I think his name is John or something, not the first Mac guy, but the second Mac guy that comes on. He's like German or something. He's so cute. I love him. But it was like, we've been keeping a secret from you, and it's that this thing has more power. And I'm like, what the heck is up with the secrets, Apple? The M1 Ultra chip is not a new chip, sort of, kind of. So the M1 Ultra chip is what they're classifying when they're taking 2 M1 Max chips and like sewing them together. Seems like there's hardware that would be linking 2 M1 Max chips to create an M1 Ultra chip. I hope you can still hear me because it's getting kind of loud, but I don't care. I'm gonna keep going because I'm on a time crunch. The reason why I'm here, by the way, is because I'm working at the Globe for the next 3 weeks. I'm training at the Globe for the next 3 weeks, and so long story short, all my roommates were home when I was going to film because they had a later start at school. So I decided I still wanted to film this video and packed up my crappy vlog camera, sorry for the constantly shifting focus, and decided to film this video in public next to the Globe before my class/rehearsal. And here we are. Anyway, moving on. So the M1 Ultra chip, it's 2 chips combined, but what it does... Oh yeah, they always talk about transistors, and I don't know what a transistor is. I need to Google it, and if I find out, I will put a clip here explaining what a transistor is, but they always talk about like the billions of transistors and the blah, 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 whatever. But the M1 Ultra chip, they like explain this first, and then they talked about the bodies that they're going in, so I'm getting there, I promise. But the M1 Ultra chip can have up to 128 gigabytes of memory. Okay, 64 core GPU. And 8 times faster than the M1 chip, which the M1 chip, like, smokes my very expensive, like, 15-inch, it's from 2018, I think it's got, like, 8 cores in it. It's like a 2.9 gigahertz processor. I've got, like, 16 gigs of RAM, and an M1, like, base model MacBook Pro blows this thing, a Mac Mini, rendered in a blink of an eye, and it took this thing, like, 5 minutes. So, like... this thing was the bug, and this thing was the top of its class when it came out. So all I'm saying is that if it's 8 times faster than the M1 chip, that's freaking insane. Modular system with connectivity. Why did I write that down? Oh, I think, I don't know why I wrote that down. This M1 Ultra chip, I was watching the event and just kind of going, where does it end? Where do these devices stop having all the power? And also just thinking about how in like the 90s, like 100 megabytes of storage on an SD card or like on a flash drive was like massive, and now I have like a flash storage thing, so like an even faster storage than back then. That's 2,000 gigabytes on it, and it's like this big. If you ask somebody from the 90s now, like if I had that much storage on a similar device, they'd probably like their brains would explode. And so just thinking about how we're gonna have a computer that has 128 gigabytes of memory, 64 cores of a GPU, and then in like 10 years, that's gonna be nothing. Like that's freaking crazy. When they talked about the M1 Ultra chip, they then moved on to the device that it is going to live in. And the device that it's going to live in is going to be the new Mac Studio. I saw rumor tweets about the Mac Studio, and I like definitely didn't believe them because I was like, that's an interesting name. Anyway, okay, let's talk about it. So Mac Studio, there's also a Studio Display, which is a very interesting display, and I'll get to that. And then the Mac Studio has the M1 Ultra chip. It looks like it's 3 Mac Minis like smashed on top of each other that got soldered together. It's the same 7x7 square, but it's 3.7 inches tall or something like that. Now, when it comes to connectivity on this device, I'm so glad that they were thinking about creatives when they were making it, because good gravy, it's nice. So we have 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back of the device, a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, 2 USB Type A's, an HDMI, an aux cable that can like support some fancy, audio interfaces and stuff. And then on the front of the device, there are 2 USB-C ports, but if it's on one model, it will be USB 3.0 or 3 something, USB 3 speeds. And then on the higher end model, it's Thunderbolt 4 ports. There's also an SD card slot on the front of this device. There are 2 USB-C ports and a freaking SD card slot within easy reach on a pro computer that is designed for people like me. This is amazing. And then it is 60% faster than the 28 core Mac Pro. Let that sink in for a second. This is what I'm talking about. If you think about the cheese grater Mac, that came out, what, like 5 years ago or something? I don't think that long ago. But anyway, that computer, and you were to say, oh yeah, in 5 years, there's gonna be something that like makes it look pathetic. I don't know, and then also like a quarter of the form factor, something that doesn't have $500 wheels. What a good time. So with the Mac Studio, like this thing just keeps blowing my mind. Can come with 2 different configurations. One is with just the M1 Max chip, and that can have up to 64 gigabytes of memory, which is still so much. Oh my god. And then the M1 Ultra version can have up to 128 gigs, and that's the one that has the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports in the front and the 4 in the back. On the M1 Max version, it's just gonna be USB-C, which they've done this before with, I think it was like the MacBook Pros when they first switched to USB-C. And it was like, if you get the higher end version, you get more ports, but if you get the lower end version, you only get 1 port. And then I think they've also done with the 15 or 16 inches, a couple models back, like it's either Thunderbolt 4 or USB-C. And like, I don't know, obviously, the industry well enough to speak on how much that costs and what the price differentiation is between USB 3 and Thunderbolt 4, but it's like kind of annoying to me that they do that. Also, the differentiation between having more ports, at least you have the same amount of ports no matter what model you're getting. Just, I feel like if somebody is buying the Mac Studio, this like, granted, the first price range for it, for like the base model, which I think comes even with a terabyte of storage, is like $2,000. No, that's not right. There's no way it's $2,000. The M1 Max version of the Mac Studio is much cheaper than the M1 Ultra, duh. But like, if you're getting a Mac Studio with 64 gigabytes of RAM, don't you think you'd be somebody who would also want Thunderbolt 4 connectivity in the front of your device? I think they do this as a way of making a selling point for the more expensive device and forcing people to upgrade when they don't necessarily need to. I don't know. Yeah, it is $1,099 for a Mac Studio with an M1 Max chip. That's crazy. That's not that expensive. I don't know. Okay, I have my feelings about it, and I'm not super thrilled, but like at least they didn't take away ports if you went with the cheaper option. It's just not as fast speeds. And at least it's still USB-C, so that's great. You can get up to 8 terabytes of storage, even if I had Thunderbolt 4. I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to edit more off of an external hard drive, and I feel like if you maybe have a Mac Studio, you might be somebody that's like passing around hard drives between different editors, so maybe you want to edit off of a hard drive. I feel like if I got a Mac Studio, you have to get 8 terabytes of storage or else you're just being silly, but like, that's just me. Let's go ahead and move on to the Studio Display, because that is it for when it comes to the Mac Studio. Studio Display. This one is very interesting. So this is replacing the Pro Display XDR, which was that like $5,000 big old thick piece of glass that people were just mad about how much it cost, but I guess it looks pretty. I don't know. This thing is 27 inches. I was going to talk about this, but I didn't realize I was going to talk about it now. So I have a note here that says, yo, what is up with this bad color combos of the watch bands and outfits? Which, yes, Tim Cook was wearing like a blue shirt, like his classic blue with jeans and like classy look, and like a bright yellow watch band. Then there was a woman who was wearing like this like gold, I think she was wearing like a gold shirt and like a blazer and like black pants, like black blazer, black shoes, and her watch band was green, and I was just getting so annoyed. But then it dawned on me, everybody was wearing colors of watch bands, the ones that you could see that were the new colors of the watch bands, which like, just why don't you say something instead? I don't know. You could have matched, like, obviously if the color combinations are so bad, people are going to recognize the fact that they're not the right, like they're gonna see it and go, what band is that? And then they're gonna realize, like, they're gonna ask questions. If she wore a new watch band that properly matched her outfit, I wouldn't be talking about it right now. So their little ploy worked. The Studio Display is the first asterisk, I don't know, display that has a chip inside of it. It's got the A13 Bionic chip in it, which begs the question, why didn't you use the A15 Bionic? Because that's your updated chip. How much cost saving are you having if you're going with an older chip? I don't know. Whatever. It's got a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, same as the iPad. It supports center stage, so cool if that's your thing. 6 speaker sound system and 3 studio quality mics. So if you're like having important Zoom meetings via your Mac Pro Studio Display, then like that's good for you, I guess. I would still like to see a good mic on a Mac computer or on an Apple device in general, because AirPods, I'm looking at you. You have a shitty microphone. There, I said it. So 3 studio quality mics, that's great. But that's everything. That I just kind of like dumped that all on you. But that is all of the stuff with the Mac Studio and the Studio Display. I would say overall, my thoughts is this is an insane piece of technology that, do I want it? Yes. Do I need it? No. Do I have the money for it? Absolutely not. Why would you even ask me that? I'm very excited to go to an Apple store and just play around with everything and see what everything is like. So yeah, that's all the things at the Apple event that was announced yesterday. I knew it was going to be a simple event. I knew it wasn't going to be anything insane. And yes, it was insane that they talked about like the M1 Ultra chip. I'm not gonna like try to downplay that, but nonetheless, it was a happy Apple Christmas. That's everything. That's your little 411. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. Go away, helicopter. Okay, I hope you can hear me, but these are my patrons. Thank you so much to all the patrons. If you want to become one of my patrons and be on the end screen here, patreon.com/Annelies. Thank you so much to all my patrons of past, present, and future. Subscribe if you like the video. Stay beautiful, have a marvelous day, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!